Once upon a time, in the immensity of the ocean, there was a marvelous kingdom where the water was as blue as the sky and as clear as crystal. This kingdom was filled with colorful fish swimming joyfully among strange plants and sparkling corals. At the bottom of this living sea stood a magnificent castle made of coral and shining seashells. The king of this castle had 6 daughters, all mermaid princesses, but the youngest was particularly special. Her skin was as soft as a rose petal, her blue eyes as deep as the ocean, and her fish tail shone like silver under the sun. The little mermaids played happily in the castle, leaving flowers grow in the walls, and every time they opened the windows, fish would enter the rooms like birds. In front of the castle lay a magical garden, brightly colored trees, fruits shining like gold, and flowers dancing in the wind. Each princess had her own garden corner. The youngest had created a cycle of red flowers round like a blazing sun. This princess had always been fascinated by the human world. She loved listening to her grandmother tell stories about the land, asking 1,000 questions. What are the flowers like on land? Are forests really green? How do fishes sing in the trees? She didn't yet know that they were not fish, but actual birds. Her grandmother promised that at 15 she could finally go to the surface and discover the world of humans. The little mermaid awaited this day with impatience, each year passing like an eternity. And when her sisters had their turn, they returned with fascinating stories, illuminated cities at night, splendid sunsets, floating ice mountains. But the youngest continued to wait. Finally, the great day arrived. The little mermaid, surfaced and, amazed, discovered a world of dazzling beauty, a large ship decorated with colorful lights, joyful music, and at the center of it all, a prince with black hair whose presence made her heart beat faster. A terrible storm suddenly arose, rocking the ship. The prince fell into the water. Without hesitation, the little mermaid dove and swam quickly through the raging waves. She saved the prince and deposited him on a beach near a charming lake. She then moved away, her heart heavy, knowing she had just fallen in love. She dreamed of becoming human to find him, but an obstacle stood before her. She wasn't human, and her only hope of joining him lay in a terrible sacrifice. She went to the dark waters where the sea witch lived. The witch, with a sinister air, offered her a cruel bargain. She could get legs, but every step would feel like walking on blades. Moreover, she would lose her voice, and if the prince married another, she would turn into sea foam. Without hesitation, the mermaid accepted, ready to do anything to be near the one she loved. Transformed into a human, she arrived at the prince's castle. Her beauty was fascinating, but she could not speak. The prince, dazzled by her appearance, welcomed her kindly, but saw her only as a friend. He treated her with kindness, but his heart did not beat for her. Each day the little mermaid suffered in silence, her feet tormented by the pain of her transformation. One day the prince announced that he would marry a princess from a neighboring kingdom. The little mermaid felt the ground fall from under her. If the prince married someone else, she would be doomed to disappear into foam. The next day, the ship docked in the bustling harbour of the neighboring kingdom capital. The entire city buzzed with the rhythm of festivities and celebrations. But the long-awaited princess, promised to the prince, had not yet arrived. The little mermaid filled with a mix of curiosity and sorrow, anxiously awaited the moment she would see the young woman who had won the prince's heart. When the princess finally appeared, the little mermaid was struck by her radiant beauty, a graceful figure, flawless skin, and large dark eyes that seemed to captivate anyone who met their gaze. The moment the prince saw the princess, his face lit up with joy. "It's you!" he exclaimed with a burst of emotion. "You're the one who saved my life on that shore!" He approached her and, without hesitation, tenderly embraced her. The princess, her cheeks slightly flushed, lowered her eyes and smiled shyly. The prince then turned to the little mermaid, his eyes full of gratitude. "My happiness is complete. You will always be by my side to share it, you who have given me so much." The little mermaid, her heart heavy and her throat tight, forced herself to smile. She knew that the day the one she loved united with another, her own life would end, and she would disappear into foam. The wedding day arrived. The prince and the princess, hand in hand, knelt to receive the solemn blessing. As evening fell, the festivities reached their peak. The young couple boarded a round ship adorned with royal drops of gold and purple. In the center of the deck, a lavish tent had been set up, housing a resting bed fit for a fairy tale. As the ship cast off its moorings, sails filled with the breeze, the sea sparkled under the stars like a mirror. As the night progressed, lanterns of all colors were lit, bathing the ship in a magical glow. The sailors, carried away by the general euphoria, began to dance on the deck. The little mermaid, though pendant, joined them, light and graceful like a breeze of wind. She danced for the prince, for the one she had sacrificed everything for, her voice, her family, and even her future. When the festivities finally died down, the young couple withdrew to their royal tent. Silence fell over the ship, broken only by the sound of the waves. Only the headsman remained awake, watching over the wheel. Her sisters, seeing her distress, brought her an enchanted dagger given by the witch. If she killed the prince with this weapon, the little mermaid could become a mermaid again and escape her grim fate. But her love for him was too pure, too selfish. Unable to harm him, she chose to surrender to her fate. Yet her sacrifice did not go unnoticed. The spirits of the air, moved by the nobility of her act, took her in and offered her a new chance. And so the little mermaid ascended, light as a wind, carrying with her the hope of a deserved eternity and the promise of a brighter future.